Hey everybody, my name is Clif and I am back for a brand new video. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's get into it. Let me start off by answering your question, alright? Why do I have a sock covering my eyes? Well, to be honest, I was going to use toilet paper, but unfortunately, the toilet paper kept falling apart. So, you know what? That didn't exactly work, right? And I needed something, right? I needed something that could, basically stay there for a certain amount of time while I basically go over this video in general, right? And who knows? Maybe I might be interested in actually doing this entire video with my eyes covered, right? But why do I have my eyes covered, right? That is the important thing, right? It doesn't matter whether or not I'm using a sock, toilet paper, or whatever it may be, right? That's not the important thing, right? No, the important thing is, why do I have my eyes covered, right? I decided to cover my eyes because I want to try and do something, alright? I want to try and to achieve what Loki himself is achieving, alright? And to be very clear here, and to be very specific, no, I'm not referring to Loki from the Marvel Cinematic Universe Loki, alright? I'm not even referring to the Loki from the actual Norse mythology, alright? Not those Lokis, alright? No, I'm referring to Elbaph Loki, alright? Or basically the One Piece Loki, alright? The Loki who basically just met Luffy, who's going to be the future king of the pirates, right? That Loki, alright? I decided to actually achieve something that he's trying to achieve. And this is basically an idea, alright? Now, I should technically mention here, to be on the safe side of it, is that, truth be told, I imagine a lot of people out there have actually sort of like theorized this and actually thought of this as a possibility, but I haven't really seen anybody actually talk about it, okay? There have been some theories out there that actually suggested that the reason why Loki's eyes are covered is because Loki's Del Fruit that he basically killed his father in order to steal and obtain, this sun god Del Fruit, or whatever it may be, has something to do with his eyes, and that's why his eyes are covered. But I think there could be another reason why his eyes are covered, right? And you know what? It could technically make a lot of sense, okay? So, let's get into this video, alright? Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Clif. Let's begin. Alright. So, where do we actually begin with this whole scenario, right? Where do we actually begin to start off this whole theory, this whole idea in general on why Loki is keeping his eyes covered, okay? Well, I think there's a few good reasons to state this, okay? And let's start off with this, alright? Now, when we're first introduced to Loki, Loki is basically chained up to the Atom Tree, okay? And his eyes are covered, okay? Those are probably the two biggest important things here, right? He's chained up to a giant tree, and yet the other thing is his eyes are covered, alright? Plus, on a bonus side, we also have to mention here is that Loki did reveal to Luffy that he has been chained up for nearly about 6 years, okay? He's been chained up for about 6 years. And interesting enough, we also found out that nearly 6 years ago is when Shanks actually became an Emperor of the Sea, okay? 6 years ago is when Shanks became an Emperor of the Sea, okay? So, here's an interesting thing that a lot of people have sort of speculated, and to be honest, at this point in time, I could definitely say that, oh yes, that is definitely true. That is definitely how it occurred, okay? That we all basically believe with absolute certainty, even if we don't have actual physical evidence to back it up and believe it, it's safe to definitely say that, yes, Loki's defeat is the reason why Shanks became an Emperor of the Sea, okay? And it is obvious, without any circumstances, is that there is definitely something between Loki and Shanks. Like, there is something there, okay? Not to mention, you could even look at the fact that, Loki basically taunting Luffy about Shanks, calling him a coward, or it literally shows something. And the fact that, Loki is even, like, making a deal with Luffy in general to, like, hey, if you free me, I'll tell you anything you want to know about Shanks, alright? I'll tell you anything you want to know, okay? But here's the interesting thing to really go over on why Shanks' eyes are actually covered, okay? And I think my mistake, Loki, the reason why his eyes are covered is because he's actually trying to increase his observation haki, right? He's trying to advance his observation haki to probably the level of Shanks, okay? Because keep in mind here, Oda did reveal to us that Shanks' observation haki is so far superior that he has a special ability known as the Observation Haki Killer, right? Or basically Observation Killer, okay? That he can basically, like, nullify other people's observation haki to the point where they can't even see into the future, right? Where they can't even themselves see far beyond the point. And maybe that's why Loki's eyes are covered here, is because he's been potentially trying to increase his observation haki to the level of Shanks himself. Like, he's literally been trying to achieve that level, okay? Now, it's hard to definitely assume that just because of that, but it does make a lot of sense. It could actually be a specific reason on why it is possible, right? And maybe with this, we might get an understanding or a general idea on how his observation Haki killer actually works. And maybe this could be a good way for Luffy to utilize it to work with it in general, alright? Maybe having Loki learn this ability himself is also a good way for Luffy to actually achieve that ability as well, right? That way we can get a better understanding of it, okay? Because technically speaking, I do feel like Luffy himself will sort of master, or not really master, but unlock, or, you know, sort of get an idea of how these advanced Hakis will work before he actually officially fights Shanks in general, right? That's just something to consider here, okay? And to be honest, just to be very clear here, I'm not saying that I do believe that Luffy is going to immediately become a pro or a master at this Haki in general until the end of the series, okay? No, alright? I mean, you can definitely say that Luffy is definitely advancing. He's definitely getting better at Haki every step of the way, but he's no master of it, alright? He's no pro, he's no, like, literally, he's like no god to it, alright? Even though he does have the Sun God Nika fruit, he's no, like, god level when it comes to, like, Haki in general, okay? He's still way below anything else, okay? But he is definitely learning, and he's definitely getting better every chance and every step he gets, alright? So that is something that is important here, okay? So why could we actually consider this, okay? Well, here's a few things to actually go over for conversations that Loki had with Luffy in general, right? Now, one thing to actually look at is this statement right here, where Loki basically stated and asked very carefully, hey, who is that pipsqueak, okay? Now, this is pretty weird here because, you know, Loki's eyes are covered, okay? So you really have to assume how could you even know in general if Luffy was a pipsqueak or not, right? And sure, observation Haki is one thing, but at the same time, if he was able to physically, you know, see Luffy in general, sort of get an idea of like how his size was or anything like that, you probably wouldn't be asking or probably saying, hey, who is this pipsqueak, okay? Because let's look at, I guess you can look at Fujitora for an example, okay? Fujitora basically blinded his eyes. Because he's blind, he basically has to rely on observation Haki a lot in order to sense the presence of others. But because he's physically blind, he can't actually tell what other people look like, okay? So we can definitely basically state and assume that Fujitora doesn't have, like, future sight or in that kind of regards to be able to get an idea of what somebody looks like, okay? But yet, it does definitely seem here that Loki might have a good idea of what Luffy looks like, okay? Now, sure, there's probably other things to really consider there, and it might be a bit of a stretch, but it's just something to basically throw in, okay? Another notion here is where you can definitely look at the fact that, you know, Loki's observation Haki might be really good and all, because as soon as he made fun of Shanks and all, which definitely pissed off Luffy, where Luffy was going to go into, like, immediate attack and punch him, Loki basically already knew what was to come. He already knew what to expect for, and he immediately dodged out of the way as soon as he could. And yes, he did basically state to Luffy, hey, I was only kidding, alright? Please, alright? I'm just joking, alright? Hey, I'm chained up to a tree, alright? I can't defend myself, okay? So that is something to consider here, and that is something to basically look forward to, okay? Now, to really go over in general, if I had to actually suggest between Loki's eyes being covered, like, is it for, like, a Delphi ability, or is it for the observation thing? I would probably say it's more for the observation thing. I feel like that actually makes a little bit more of a narrative sense for it. But at the same time, I won't deny the possibility that it does have something to do with the Delphi, right? That it could possibly be for that. But truth be told, because of the whole thing that we did get revealed from Oda, that Shanks is known as the observation Haki killer, I think this might actually be something to where Oda is going to use Loki to sort of demonstrate that ability, to sort of get an understanding of what that ability is and how it might actually work. We might actually get an understanding of that, okay? So that could actually be something to look forward to, alright? Now, should be told, when it comes to, like, the whole Delphi theory and everything like that, like what Loki's Delphi could be, when I put out my general idea, I basically sort of, like, given the idea that Loki's Delphi might actually be, like, some kind of, like, plastic fruit to sort of, like, parallel or sort of, like, give, like, a very good general idea of, like, what it could be, like, if Luffy's Delphi fruit, like, a real Gomu Gomu, or basically, like, a real polymer-based Delphi in general, that could actually work in this case. And really, I chose the Pura Nami, which would basically be a basically be a reference to plastic, or it can even be reference to plasma in general, okay? So I need to look forward to that, okay? Plus, there's another thing to even add here is with Loki's bounty, right? And Loki's bounty is 26 billion, or basically, I'm sorry, not 26 billion, sorry, I have to say 2.6 billion berry bounty, alright? And 2 can be read for Poo, and 6 can be read for Ra. So Pura. So Pura can be read as 2-6, okay? Now, yes, I will say that could be a bit of a stretch and really a very big one or anything like that, but it's just something I want to throw in there a bit of a bonus, right? The other idea I did assume is that I talked a lot about the whole Gara essence of like the glass fruit, which I've always like labeled for Nami in general, but I do think there is a high possibility that if the Devil Fruit of Loki could actually be something, that could actually work as well, right? I believe both the Pura Nami or the Gara Nami in the sense of like plastic fruit or the glass fruit could work for Loki in this case of everything I've actually talked about when it comes to the whole glass fruit ability and how they could actually work in general. So that is definitely something, right? And I'll have a link to those videos down below so you can actually see them for yourselves if you want to take a look at them. So feel free to go check those out. Whether or not you want to check them out or not is all up to you, but that's just basically something for it too. But truth be told, if I had to choose between the two, I would prefer the plastic fruit to go with Loki, and I would still kind of want the whole glass thing to go with Nami, but I mentioned before that I want Oda to actually tell his story the way he's telling it, and I don't really want Oda to basically just drop what he's doing just for the sake of like, hey, my idea is better, when in reality it's probably not, alright? It's just something that I'm enjoying, and I want Oda to enjoy his story, alright? Because I'm enjoying how he's telling his story, alright? It's just something to go over and just something to basically state here, okay? Alright. So what could be the implications of this, alright? What could actually be the whole sense of it, right? And you know, the whole narrative point of it is like, if the whole idea that Loki's eyes or observation haki is getting better and superior, how could that actually utilize, right? How could it actually impact the story-wise in general here, right? It might actually be something in general here, because if the observation haki is so superior to where he's literally nullifying Luffy's observation haki to the point where he can actually sense Loki in general, you might have to basically simulate, or basically come to understanding is like, okay, this might be real troll for Luffy, right? Luffy might actually be in a very serious matter here, and it really comes into play. It's like, okay, well, what is Luffy gonna do, right? Can he even beat Loki in this case, even with Sun God Nika form, right? Will he be able to beat him as Gear 5th, okay? And truth be told, I do think Luffy will be able to win. I'm not going to say he's going to definitely lose, but I do think there could be some implications, right? There could definitely be some major challenges to actually occur, right? And I think that's something very important to go over, okay? So, yeah, so that is really everything I really wanted to discuss with the whole point of it and everything. That is just something to go over on why Loki's eyes are actually covered. That is just something I really wanted to discuss here, and it's just a basic idea, okay? A basic theory and suggestion. And truth be told, I imagine some people have actually talked about this before, but I haven't really heard anyone really talk about it, so I thought it might actually be something to actually go over in general on why Loki's eyes were actually covered here, right? So, hey, that's just something to go over, just something I wanted to actually discuss here, and that was basically it for the whole main plot point of what I wanted to actually negotiate, what I actually wanted to say, alright? So yeah, so that's it for that. In the next video I put out, I want to actually go over on the whole most recent chapter 1132's ending and like that, like the final warning message. So if anyone's seen the chapter, they would know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to really go over it in details just yet because I want to make its own video on that. But hey, chapter 1132 was awesome, right? It was a very outstanding chapter, and man, oh man, the reveal that we got on Elbaph Village, right? The excitement on the Straw Hats' eyes when they actually got to see it. Oh man, oh. And the fact that we got to meet the fact that we got to have the Straw Hats actually meet more giants and stuff like that. And oh man, Gerd. Oh man, she is awesome. Oh, she is a bomb. She is a dynamite woman. Oh yes. Okay. But yes, that will do it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Clif. I hope you had a great time watching me do this video like that. If you enjoyed my video, if you enjoyed my content, if you enjoyed anything I had to suggest or anything I had to say, please let me know in the comment section below, alright? Feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit notification bells. Share the video if you feel like it needs to be shared, and that will do it for today, alright? So thank you so much for joining me. I am going to cut out as I take this off. Oh crap, no! Oh crap, the knot's stuck. Oh crap, the knot's stuck. Oh crap! Psych! Gotcha! Goodbye everybody.